Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Imprint Cast, the podcast dedicated to the Australian boutique label Imprint Films. My name is Tony Michas, and joining me is, as you can see, we got family and dear friends. And of course, I have to introduce my partner and colleague, Mr. John Mathews. John, how you doing, good sir?
Doing well, Tony. Looking forward to this discussion. It's a favorite of mine, so it's going to be good. Look forward to it.
It's gonna be a good one, definitely. And also joining us is family, and then of course we'll first start off with Paul Berriman. Paul, how you doing, good sir?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Tony. It's great to be back again and with a great group of people. So yeah, looking forward to today's discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. And also joining us is family member Mr. Ron Pettersson. Ron, how you doing, good sir?
Good, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's a real pleasure to be here and to talk about one of the films I just adore for a long time. It's a great opportunity to watch again for the umpteenth time. We'll have plenty of stuff, so we're going to enjoy this one a lot.
It's definitely one of those films you can watch over and over. Even though it's bleak, it's still a good one, nevertheless.
Oh, it's an amazing film, yeah.
And joining us again, it's been quite a while since we've had him on the show, and that's from the YouTube channel and film critic Terry Talks Movies.
Terry hi guys. This is a fun one to revisit. Though fun is a kind of a little bit uneven when you're talking about Midnight Cowboy.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason why I didn't say our numbered episode in the beginning is because this is our very special episode because it is our 100th episode. I honestly can't believe we've done 100 episodes of Imprint Cast. This is, it's just incredible. John, what do you think? How do you feel about this?
Yeah, it feels like it's flown by. I can't believe it. We're already up to 100. So it feels like yesterday we started.
Yeah, exactly. It just flew. We've been doing this for 5 years now, and it's great. Like we're getting followers. We're getting people who are love the show and always messaging John, myself, and Paul, and a few others. So it's always wonderful. Paul, how do you feel about this being our 100th episode?
Yeah, it's quite a momentous occasion. Congratulations, guys, on sticking out for this long and being able to continue with the show. It's been amazing listening since the early days. I remember the episode you John listening to the Warriors. And then,
yes,
when that was announced, and then going to be a part of the sort of in-depth one on that. And obviously you've been able to have some great guests over the time, including people who've contributed to Imprint Films releases. It's been great to have to listen to those as well. So yeah, congratulations on the milestone.
Thank you. Absolutely. There were some great episodes that we've had on the great guests that we've had. We had Daniel Kramer discussing the box sets of Sidney J. Fury and the Blue Fade In box sets. They were great discussions. But probably one of my personal favorites, and I think Ron and Paul and John will agree, is when we did the Hammer horror set and the Carrie releases with film director Sam Irvin.
Yeah, that was special.
They were great.
Yeah,
I know you had a field day, Ron, didn't you, with the Hammer ones?
Oh yeah, they were a lot of fun. It was great to get those little inside stories. How he knew Ingrid Pitt. Went on tour with the horror icon and met all the Hammer icons. So, I was a little kid. I used to watch the movies and get all those horror movie books, obsess over the stills. And finally, I meet someone who's actually met him in the flesh. Because it was unheard of in Australia. We're in the middle of nowhere in Australia. When you look at it in terms of the map and you go, how would Ingrid Pitt ever end up in Sydney? It's very unlikely. Or Christopher Lee ended up here because of Lord of the Rings, and he was seen walking around Pitt Street around the early 2000s, but he was the only really Hammer icon that was out here. The others have all been Europe and America.
So Christopher Lee was here in the 80s as well for the Return to Captain Invincible.
Oh yes,
of course,
yes. That was a shocker.
Superhero musical.
Superhero musical. God knows what it was. I think
it was fun.
Yeah,
yeah.
I shudder when I think about that film.
It's okay. And as we discussed, it is our 100th episode. And in the Imprint Films Blu-ray Collections fan group and Imprint Cast Facebook pages, we did a poll that our member chose 3 films to discuss which ones they would like to talk about. And the 3 films were Jade, In the Heat of the Night, and Midnight Cowboy. And by a landslide, well, actually, I wouldn't say landslide, it was a close second between In the Heat of the Night and Midnight Cowboy. But if it over 4 votes, Midnight Cowboy was the winner. So for this episode, we are going to be discussing probably one of the best picture films from the 60s, as well as the only X-rated movie at the time to win the Oscar for Best Picture, and that is Midnight Cowboy.
Everybody's talking at me. I don't hear a word they're saying, only the echoes of my mind. It's your misfortune and none of my own.
Where's that Joe Buck?
Where's that Joe Buck?
Yeah, where's that Joe Buck? I'm Joe Buck from Texas.
Enrico Rizzo, from the Bronx.
Are you sure you heard what I said?
My name's Rizzo.
Now you heard him.
His name is Joe Buck. He's a cowboy. Just came in from Texas.
Cowboy, huh? I ain't a for real cowboy. But I am one hell of a stud.
Kiss me, Joe. Kiss me.
Hell, the only one thing I've ever been good for is loving.
Oh, you're the only one, Joe.
And how come you ain't scored once the whole time you've been in New York?
Cause I need management.
Let's go.
Hey, I'm walking here. I'm walking here.
Listen. Get the cash. Those rich ladies write out a check a night, and in the morning they call the bank and stop payment.
You were going to ask me for money?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I mean business.
You were going to ask me for money.
M-O-N-Y.
You big Texas longhorn bull.
They're laughing at you on the street.
What you got me up here for? Ready for some hard work, son? I'm ready for anything.
You're a nice person, Joe. I should never have asked you up here.
It's gonna be a lot easier for you, Joe Buck.
You're a lovely person, really.
I'm gonna use you. I'm gonna run you ragged.
Where you been, 42nd Street?
I'm a truly dangerous person, I am.
I'm impressed. You're a killer.
Guess who I am?
Oh,
It's me.
she's hooked.
Like why, cowboy?
I'd say she was good for $10, but I'll ask for 20.
Why are you laughing, Joe? You're really a cowboy.
Hey, listen, don't get sore or anything, okay?
I ain't sore.
I don't think I can walk anymore. I'm scared.
What are you scared of?
You know what they do to you when they know you can't. When they find out that you can't walk. Oh, Christ.
Backing up on the northeast winds, sailing on the summer breeze, skipping over the ocean like a stone. Everybody's talking at me.
Oh, I love this film. Terry, when did you first see Midnight Cowboy?
I think I saw it on VHS first because I didn't see it in cinemas, which is a bit of a shame because there were 2 times when I could have seen it. Once in '69, I was going to movies anyway, but also in '74 when the uncensored version hit Australia. That would have been fun because I did go to the Academy Twin Cinemas where it was showing uncensored various times, but it would have been VHS days because I missed out on those things. It wasn't, I was watching The Wicker Man and stuff like that in the 70s rather than going to see quality films.
Fair enough. Yeah, John, when was the first time you saw Midnight Cowboy?
It was on TV when I was younger. Maybe I think I was a teenager, and I remember it playing and my dad saying, "Oh, yeah, this is a real classic, John Voight. This is a great film, and I remember just being mesmerized by it because I hadn't seen anything quite like it from that time period, and quite a mature film as well. So yeah, I just have vivid memories of catching it on. I think it was one. I don't know what station it was, but I remember just seeing it. I don't know if it was uncut or censored, but I just have vivid memories of seeing it and just being enthralled by it. Then obviously, when I got a bit older, I sort of tracked down a DVD copy and sort of really appreciated the film more and more. So yeah, it's just something that's always stuck with me. And it was one of those first films I watched. I knew I was watching something very special and considered one of the greats. So yeah, it's I've seen it many times. So even for this rewatch, I sort of remember scene by scene. So yeah, it's a great film.
It's a classic. Paul, I believe this imprint release was the first time you've seen Midnight Cowboy. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. In August last year, when this 4K came along, it's the first time I'd watched the film. Obviously knew about it before and knew what its reputation was, but just hadn't managed to watch it. And so yeah, picked up this 4K and watched it for the first time, and could kind of see why it was such a classic, and was really mesmerized by the film in many ways. Many things that struck me about it, in particular the editing and the sound design. And for a film of the 60s, it kind of feels almost revolutionary in some of the sort of really quick cuts they were doing, and things that looks like you'd almost need a computer system to edit on rather than film. It was really well constructed. Since I've watched it a few times, and obviously in preparation for this recording as well, and it's one which is really a joy to watch in its kind of devastating way. But it did really connect with me, and connect with me on different levels each time I've watched it.
Definitely. Ron, how about you? When was the first time you saw Midnight Cowboy?
Good question. It was on video. I think it was around 1985 or 86. Remember Warner Home Video for us older folks? It wasn't actually the first generation Warner Brothers release. This was odd. This was probably after around about 84, late 84, 85. They started bringing out more older titles. And what grabbed me about it, because my brother was a big Dustin Hoffman fan. He thought anything he was good in was brilliant. So they ran it out, and it was rated R, of course. It was still, and what horrified me is how they just descended into homelessness so easily in New York City, how down and out they quickly became, especially Joe Buck. And I didn't understand that as a 13, 14-year-old. Because I led a very sheltered life, living with a large family in a suburban house. But once I moved out and I watched it at the Mandolin Cinema in 94, 25th anniversary, and over the years, I understood how easy it was to fail and how easy it was to screw up and end up in that miserable position where he did. But the more I look into the movie, the more fascinating it becomes for me. And what I read about the background now, which we'll go into later. But big impression. I even remember the music was kind of celebrated at school. People did it. One girl did a dance routine out of that Florida scene with Rats that was serving up the food that John Barry scored. Did the flute. And she did a dance scene to it. I thought that was really strange. A tribute. I don't know, did she watch the movie, or did she just knew the music? So that made my head spin at high school. I'm thinking, okay, someone's still.
At least you didn't do it with the Bob Balaban scene.
Oh, thank God, no.
I wish I did. I wish he did in hindsight, but it was odd tribute to that piece of music. And I think, did she actually watch the film? And did anybody in the school actually watch the film? I felt like I was the only one who actually really watched the film.
Yeah,
that's an odd thing about it.
I saw it late in my life. Like I believe in 1997. I was 18 at the time. But the reason why was because I was very hesitant, because I have heard that it had been censored. It was originally X in America, R rated here in Australia, and the VHS I saw was rated M. But I said, I don't want to see an M. I don't want to see a cut film. I want to see the full, complete version. But then after reading about it, then I found out that it is the full uncut version, but the rating has been changed.
Yeah,
I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. It's fully uncut, but it is rated M. I guess. Okay, fair enough. So I watched it and I fell in love with it because I've always been a fan of John Schlesinger's, and one of the first John Schlesinger films I've seen was one of his last movies called An Eye for an Eye with Sally Field and Kiefer Sutherland.
Great film.
It's considered one of his worst, but I actually like it very much. And then I thought I gotta watch more films from this director. And then Midnight Cowboy was the big one that won Best Picture and Best Director. And I saw it and I was mesmerized from the whole thing. It was amazing. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah. First movie of his I saw was A Kind of Loving. I saw it on TV. When I thought, wow, there's a gay character there that's positive and is seen as an important part of the young woman's life. And that changed my mind about a lot of things when I was 15.
Midnight Cowboy, I never considered it a gay film when I saw it when I was young. I thought it was a buddy movie. I didn't really see the gay undertones or overtones, so to speak, until later in life. Then I realized, it's Ratso who has the homosexual feelings. Well, Joe Buck. Well, Joe just totally oblivious.
Yes.
He's my buddy, He's very Texan kind of hick fellow. But it's still interesting though in many ways. When I got older and I read more about Warhol and 1960s New York, and then the movie's a lot richer than that, richer than I first saw it to be.
Yeah, Schlesinger was openly gay, but obviously in the UK at the time, based on my research, he was very private about that in the 50s. You couldn't, it was sort of like a great sin in the UK at the time. So when he came to the US, he was a lot more open about that. So it does come through in the film. But once again, when I was younger and I saw it, I didn't see that. But watching it now, I kind of see it a little bit more. But it's not overly there. It's just the themes are definitely there in the film. But he's a fascinating director and made some incredible films like Marathon Man as well, which is one of my favorites.
Yeah, one of the things he did really well that Borman did well when he did Point Blank, he brought an outsider's view to America.
Yeah.
And you see that right at the start. And one of the weird things I noticed at the start this time, you see two cinemas in Texas. One's the drive-in, which is closed, and the other one's a cinema that's closed. And as soon as he gets to New York, there's 100 cinemas in Times Square that are all open.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So that's a beautiful juxtaposition they do in the movie too.
Yeah, it's very much an outsider film, and that's how I presume the director may have felt coming from the UK, and everything seems a bit off to Joe Buck in this town. Like, everything's a little strange, and we'll get into a bit more, but there's a lot of weird things just going on around him, like this scene with this mother and presumably this kid with this mouse thing. It's just everything's a bit off in New York. It's strange. So, and as an outsider, it's particularly
the kid was
bizarre.
neurodiverse in some way. That was interesting addition there too.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the sort of stuff that stuck with me when I saw it when I was younger. And coming back, like those sort of just strange moments in the film really stand out. And like Ron said earlier, obviously it's showing New York for the grittiness. It's not, these nice glamorous sets were shot on location as well, which is makes it unique.
Well, it's interesting when he first gets to New York, you do kind of get that glamour as he's starting to then hunt women to try and get some money, and then very quickly it changes. The glamour goes away, and he's in the back alleys, and obviously the squat that Ratso is living in, completely run down and condemned building. It's just that that glamour is shattered, almost literally, when the bulldozers are coming in across the street from him.
Yeah, that was the interesting thing for me watching it this time, is how much more intelligent Ratso is than Joe. It's not just that he's streetwise and he's street smart.
Yes.
He's actually an intelligent man who's kind of trapped socioeconomically because of his own glitches in the lowest rung of society. But he is an intelligent man, and he is a perceptive man.
Yeah.
But he's just got these issues, and he's fucked up, and he's got the coughing thing and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And he's also really caring, because you notice when Joe Buck is down on his luck, he's cooking for him, and you notice he cooks the meal, puts it on a plate. He's not eating any of that. He's looked there to look after Joe, because he almost thinks, right, Joe's worse off than I am, even though his clothes are better, but he still decides to take care.
And that's the thing too. That's real life stuff. Most generous people are the people who don't have much. And we see that in Ratso.
Yeah, it comes out a lot more in this viewing as well, in particular. And And Joe Buck's just a character that's taken advantage of since the moment he arrives. Like even the first woman he's with, like he gives her money. I mean, it's just everything turns against him, and and you can tell he's been taken advantage of his whole life, just with the flashbacks, and he's been really mistreated, and just the character that's, and it's like I said with Ratso, he's the only one that shows a bit of care towards him, like you said, and a bit of companionship, because he's never really.
The two characters that I felt really sorry for in the movie were Annie, Jennifer Salt's character,
yes,
and Townie at the end, Bernard Hughes' character in the hotel room.
Yeah,
they're the two I felt most painful watching this movie.
Indeed, absolutely. Have either of you read the book by James Leo Herlihy?
No,
I haven't. No.
The audio commentary on the disc by Matthew Asprey Gear, he goes into some comparisons from the book to the film. But I didn't have a chance to read the book. It sounds like it delves into a lot more of the background on some of the flashbacks that we see, and also some of the opening scenes in the film. He says that that's really condensed down for sort of the credit sequence, but the journey from Texas to New York is actually a longer section in the book.
Joe has a lot more diverse sexual experiences in Texas than the movie tells us.
That's right as well.
Yeah, I listened to the audio book because I couldn't find the actual physical book for Midnight Cowboy to prepare. So I heard the audio version, and that's luckily it was a short listen. It's like 6 hours or something, so it was okay. The book is separated into 3 parts, and the first part is dedicated only to Texas, and you get to know more of Joe Buck's childhood, how he was raised, and a more detailed detailed information about his relationship with Annie. But in the movie, it's completely different than what it is in the book. And Joe's grandmother, as you saw in the movie, she went with other suitors and, of course, treated him not great. There was a sequence in the movie that even it was shown in a split second that Joe's grandmother gave him an enema of some kind, and then there jump cuts to the infamous gang rape sequence in the film. And but in the book, it's interesting. I could be wrong. I could be wrong because I was listening to the book at the same time. I don't believe there was a gang rape in the book. I think she just goes away with someone else, and Joe was heartbroken. But I think they added the gang rape into the movie, for a more dramatic effect, which actually worked.
The weird thing about that, though, is the screenplay was written by Jennifer Salt's father, Waldo Salt.
Yes.
And he put that in there, and then his daughter gets cast in that difficult role. And Jennifer Salt has said that it was a difficult part of the movie to film. So that's kind of interesting and messed up at the same time.
Yes, it was.
And one of the suitors that the grandma was with is that cowboy figure, and you think, he's seen that, and he thinks, right, that's what the man needs to be, and that's the persona he goes to take on, and how wrong it kind of turned out to be in a way.
Indeed.
Also, the cowboy is a great American mythological figure. Like, remember how we were talking about the book?
Yeah.
It was comparing it to Joe Buck is kind of like Don Quixote kind of figure. Instead of wearing a knight armor, he wears the mythical, which knight was a mythical figure back in Cervantes' day or Cervantes' day. But then in Joe Buck in the 60s, the mythical figure is John Wayne, cowboy figure. But also the hustler figure from City of Night, which was a best-selling book in 1963. So he thinks, I'm going to go to New York, be a hustler, It's just, oh my God. It's embarrassing to say the least, his attempt at it.
Like Don Quixote, Joe Buck is a delusional character.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Sancho and Rico are the grounded ones.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it is.
It's actually Rico and Sancho are the ones who keep the story going, keep everything going, and so, he's telling him, when you move into that abandoned apartment, abandoned house, whatever it is. The cowboy stuff is FAG stuff, He's trying to tell it, it's gay. Why are you wearing that? He's like, you mean John Wayne's you know?
his response about John Wayne is quite like he thinks is like you mean to tell me, and it's like really intense.
Funny thing, John Wayne did an interview with Playboy after the movie came out, and he said he hated it. And I go, yeah, I wonder why.
I love John Wayne, so I think good. I hope he was offended by it. I hope it hardened his arteries and contributed to his early demise. He was a horrible racist guy.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
Who should never have played a Mongol. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, agreed.
No.
Exactly.
Agreed.
Sorry, I know it's cruel to say that about him, but he wasn't a very respectful guy anyway.
He's dead, John. You can't hear.
Dead, yeah.
I know, but his fans might come after me. They're still alive to this day, They're still buying the 4Ks and Blu-rays and going to the retro screenings. So,
yeah,
you have to beware the John Wayne fans are out there.
Bit of my tribe.
Ron, I asked before while you were away for a second. Have you read the book by James A. O'Herlihy?
Oh yes, I did. Yeah, I like you. I listened to the audio book.
Yeah,
And of course, there's notable differences in the way the storyline's structured. Seems like Waldo Salt compacted the first half of the book into the road trip, which is quite remarkable and setting in. And the editing in that film is just absolutely astounding. Oscar worthy in every way. And there's a couple of things that stand out for me in the book that wasn't in the film. Of course, I'm assuming everyone's listening to this has seen the film and know it very well. The ending where Ratso dies on the bus. In the book, it's kind of like it's a release for Joe. Oh, I can get away from this guy. He's not dragging me down anymore. But there's a great line in it stuck in my head. He goes, he wants to join the Saturday afternoon people. He wants to be those people who are free to do whatever they like on a nice Saturday afternoon. And he thinks that's his idea of bliss now, is to be one of those people who can go out in the shopping mall or be out in public on a Saturday afternoon, not have a care in the world. And I always thought that was a line that stood out for me. And also the way he describes Ratso Rizzo was like Victor Hugo describing Quasimodo. Notre Dame to Paris, as this hideous creature, a creature of the streets, just how repulsive and disgusting. And I don't think Dustin Hoffman even got nowhere near the author's description. He did a good job, though, trying to look down and out and just absolutely awful, but not to the level the author Leo Hiffery did. He did in that way.
Yeah.
And Ratso's the ultimate survivor. I mean, yes, he's got the health issues and stuff, but since 1959, when his father died, he's survived for 10 years on the streets of New York. That's an achievement.
Yeah, definitely would say that. Yeah, but look what it did to him. It aged him dramatically. That just living off his wits, and poor guy. He was lame. He was near cripple.
Yeah,
he's resorting to bizarre, dirty tricks, and everyone calls him Ratso. It's. Oh, God.
It is a shame that they call him Ratso. Like,
well, everyone knows his reputation.
Unflattering nickname you could think of.
But the Ratso character, like everyone knows his reputation in the town, and obviously, especially in that bar that one of the first scenes where he tries to warn him, like, you're sitting over there, how can he get his hands on your pocket? I always like that scene. It's like, and then obviously Ratso just resorts to slurs just to but they know his reputation. They know he's a sleazy guy and you shouldn't go near him. And but obviously Joe Buck's just vulnerable and doesn't realize that.
Yeah, and there's that scene back in the apartment where he's Ratso's taking the radio and.
Well, it's kind of like the Don Quixote version of City of Night. It's they're both from Texas. That's an interesting part about the book. And City of Night is that he comes from El Paso, John Ritchie's character, and Joe Buck comes from a small town in Texas. New York is the epicenter, but in City of Night, it's New Orleans where he finds himself. Joe Buck finds himself in Florida after losing Ratso on the bus. But they are road novels in their own way. They're about the journeyman, the young man going on a journey and self-discovery. where City of Nights discovered his homosexuality, where Midnight Cowboy is mainly discovering he's a better person than he was led to believe.
And there's that scene with Brenda Vaccaro where he can't salute her. And it becomes an existential crisis because of his self-image.
Yeah. Yeah, Ron, I also mentioned that there's another difference in the book that is the stuff with Annie, that it was completely different to what was in the movie.
I mean, the movie has to make it more dramatic.
Yeah, and it works.
And it works. It does work because it's something that would haunt your mind. If you were making out with a pretty young girl in a car, and half the guys in the town showed up and raped the both of you, and the police got involved, it's that's ugly.
Yeah,
something,
very
something
ugly.
you couldn't get out of your
there was
mind.
that graffiti on the water tower as well.
Yes,
that's it. Yeah, the graffiti and all that, and it's also she's been institutionalized, and you think, I'm kind of responsible for that. It's all my doing, and that's something. It's weighs heavy on anyone's conscience. Think, the poor girl ended up going for that, but they kind of do blame her in a way. She's the town bike, so to speak. Everyone did the train on her, and it's like, wow, well, do you feel sympathy for her? But we kind of do, because she's very young and pretty, and and there was these loving, tender moments in the film with these little flashbacks as well, where they work together. And the book didn't really have that. It was kind of like a emotionally immature relationship,
right?
Where she just cuts him off and that's it. The parents just it's very 50s conservatism, because the book was written in mid-60s, so it didn't really shake off the 1950s.
Well, the 50s didn't really end until 1965.
Leo, the author, it didn't end until 1965. Just like City of Night was set in 59. It wasn't really. It was published in 63, but it was a book set in the late 50s. He was kind of ahead of the curve. But I kind of like how it builded on the icon and imagery and the neurosis of poor relationships. And in the movie, it does a lot better how Joe's abandoned by everyone. He's abandoned by his mother. His father was non-existent. He's a very lonely soul, and he knows he's been fobbed off his whole life.
And his grandmother died while he was away, and nobody told him.
Yeah, that's even more shocking, to come home and there's nobody there, and he's left out on his own, and it's emotionally it's quite horrific what he goes
and then
through.
the relationships go on to be transactional basically for him. It all becomes a transaction, and it's only the friendship which can kind of become a caring thing. It has to become, he asks for the money, and he almost feels nervous about it the first time, but afterwards he's like, no, I've got to have the money. And obviously that comes to a head in the scene with the gentleman towards the end. It's very forceful, and it turns intense.
The film, the way it structures the flashbacks as well, I was going to say, like, the editing's very experimental, and at the time I thought maybe, but he obviously was involved, but very Nicholas Rogue style, the way the sort of flashing editing and the flashbacks, and like I said, you get to see his life in little bits, but obviously he was involved. But they did work on a film previously together, Nicholas Rogue and Schlesinger, on Far From Madding, the Madding Crowd, where he was I don't know
Nicholas Rogue was a cinematographer on Far From the Madding Crowd. So
so like I said, I don't know if there was some influence there, but it's very Rogue-esque in the editing, the way it's sort of just like choppy and sort of like which it makes it very unique and stand out. But I just thought that was interesting. But you see Joe's life through these like very experimental flashbacks and hints and traces. But like you said, on the book's more open.
Those flashbacks reminded me of Point Blank as well, where the Lee Marvin character had similar kinds of flashbacks. So it was an experimental thing that was done in like 67 to about 70 of trying to tell stories in quick, momentary chunks to flesh out the backstory of characters.
And Sam Peckinpah used it in his own way with The Wild Bunch. You have 3 or 4 things going on with the action sequences, and also flashing back to tell the story. Very in between to keep it going. Of course, it used a great effect as well, but it was quite revolutionary in that way. But I always think Billy Liar was kind of the lead up to it. because there was a lot of good flash editing in that.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, oh, it was the French who did that, it was Godard, but I think no, I think it was just a general movement to make movies more interesting. You had to pack a lot more in.
Yeah, and I think that's why Midnight Cowboy was the start of that new Hollywood, because in a way it's very experimental in structure. It's not very, and I think that was the old Hollywood was dying and obviously leaving behind, and stuff like Midnight Cowboy was, revolutionary. And I think that was the start of the new Hollywood movement. Midnight Cowboy was a big part of it, very massive.
Oh, definitely, yeah. The older executives didn't understand why were the youth grabbing onto this film.
Yeah,
and it was also an extension of beatnik writing and Jack Kerouac and Ginsberg had the beat movement, how the people were going out on the road and traveling and discovering themselves. And Midnight Cowboy is kind of the dark side of it, the neurotic side of it. Sorry, Terry.
That happens so much with movie studios. They don't understand the things that are popular now. It's happening now with Obsession and back rooms.
Yeah.
The big studios don't understand that shit, and they've got no idea that there's a new kind of storytelling going on. It's going to take them 5 years to catch up.
Yeah. By the time they do, the taste will have moved on in some way or another.
No, and I think, like you said, Terry, that was a good point you made at the start. Like the closed cinemas, maybe implying like old cinemas like dead, and as the film progresses, it starts off very sort of old school Hollywood, but then it becomes, especially with that swinging party, by the end it shows the evolution of what was going on and free love, and by the end of it, it's very Andy Warhol, like that whole sort of party scene there, and he obviously takes whatever sort of drugs he's on, sort of the trip, and it just shows that new sort of younger generation coming in, and the film really spoke for them at the time. It was very different,
and using video for their own ways.
Yeah, and the executives had no idea like what this was. So smoking their cigars in the boardroom. So yeah, it kind of shows that. But I said it's still happening today. Like they just think the big blockbuster Marvel movies, that's what people want. But obviously that's sort of going away, and people want these smaller stories, which is very, very interesting.
I want both.
It's kind of it's interpersonal. Like we talk about Obsession, it's an interpersonal film. It's about longing. And wanting to be loved, but then when the great horror twist is it goes into overdrive, it goes into psychosis, and it's
lovely.
Where I always wanted one of those. I'll get one these days. I'm going to be careful what I wish for. And Midnight Cowboy spoke for people longing to be free from societal constraints. They were expecting to go to college, married, have executive jobs, conform, and people didn't want to do that. They wanted to know who they really were, find out who they really were, and that was the big thing at the time. The big longings at the time. I mean, it explains why Easy Rider was such a big hit at the same year. It's a road movie with two, scraggly looking stunt guys put their money in.
Easy Rider always pissed me off because I think you got to be really stupid to drop acid in a graveyard.
I had a friend who hated Easy Rider, and he said, "Why would you go down deep south of America with an American flag jacket and a helmet? You want to get yourself killed or what?"
Yeah, get a Confederate one. Yeah.
Yeah, just think, God, and he got long hair. Haven't they got any bloody sense? And I think, well, he's kind of made a good point there. I couldn't deny that. But it's funny when I watched Midnight Cowboy the other day. I'm thinking, Joe Buck's cowboy outfit. It's so kitschy. It's bizarre.
Very kitschy.
It's a little
kid's
dress up.
Yes, it was.
It was cliche. Yeah, it was. These days we call it cosplay. It's he would probably have his own Facebook page these days if Midnight Cowboy was made these days.
He'd be on OnlyFans.
He'd be on OnlyFans and he'd be checking his Instagram for likes,
Screaming from that little tenement he's in.
Absolutely.
Me and my buddy Retzel.
Ratso would be holding the camera for him.
He'd be filming all this dude stuff, And he go, I got 10,000 likes, man. I'm doing good.
Speaking of Joe Buck, oh my, John Voight, that was definitely one of his earliest roles, but he was memorable in that one. He did such a great performance. Like when Ron loaned me the book, Shitting Midnight Cowboy by Glenn Frankel, it was fascinating that he was nearly not cast. He was chosen over by another actor. Well, it's actually mentioned in the book. It's the
Michael
French
Sarrazin.
Michael Sarrazin, yes.
Okay.
And then Marion Doherty, who was the casting director, convinced John Schlesinger and producer Jerome Hellman he's the one to play Joe Buck. And she was right. And yeah, I couldn't imagine anybody else playing Joe Buck.
No, he brings that naive, sort of innocence to the character as well, which is kind of hard to capture. And I think, it's just he's so overwhelmed by everything. And John Voight just plays it perfectly, that sort of innocence to that character as well.
Yeah.
Here's one for you. Harrison Ford audition.
Yes.
Wow.
That would have been interesting.
Not in a good way. Not a nuanced actor.
No.
At the time, he was a carpenter.
He was a carpenter, yes.
Yeah.
And a drug dealer.
He was selling pot to Jim Morrison, and he was selling pot to the Doors, and he's to the Dunn family, because it was in a Griffin Dunn book. He talked about Harrison Ford got him stoned at 14. He said he got him stoned. He said it was really strong weed, and he tripped out of his mind.
So there's the story. 2 years ago, they went to the Fat Duck, Heston Blumenthal's restaurant, Harrison Ford. Got Paul McCartney so stoned they had to call a car to take him home.
Oh, wow.
God, he knows his stuff.
Yeah, and apparently Dustin Hoffman originally wasn't going to get the role because they associated him with The Graduate, these sort of like middle class roles. And apparently, I don't know if it's true, but there's a rumor that he dressed up like a homeless guy and went up to one of the executives, and they were like, "Whoa, okay, you've got the part."
You can do it. Yeah,
you can do it. So because obviously he was, associated just with The Graduate, it was sort of typecast that sort of role.
Yeah,
this kind of character for him.
Well, according from what I heard and from what I read, Dustin Hoffman was going to meet John Schlesinger and his partner Michael Childers at a restaurant in New York around 3 a.m. And Dustin made the decision to dress up as a homeless guy, have his face made up and his teeth all made up with prosthetics, and after that, he got the role of Ratso Rizzo, and it worked great.
Yeah,
it worked.
It was perfect, and apparently he put pebbles in his shoes to kind of walk.
Yeah,
that's right.
Walk as well, which is perfect. He's just spot on. Even though like I said, Ron, it's not to the character in the book, but he creates this own sort of character, which is fantastic.
The book, he's virtually deformed, physically deformed.
Yeah,
it's like the years of hard living on the street just broke his body into many pieces, and he was just barely holding himself up. That's how it's described in the book. But he did that. He did show that in the book, how he walked, how he moved around, how he
the limp and
so edgy.
Punching over the shoulders type feel, and obviously as the film gets more and more cold, he starts. Even both characters start bringing their shoulders in, bring themselves closed away from the world in a very physical way. Obviously, he got to be able to move about for a film, so he didn't want to go the full way of what you described happens in the book. I think for the caricature in the film, it really works as an image that's instantly, you can see there is stuff going on. He's got the limp, he's got that stature that just works.
And the other thing too is that wardrobe in the movie is fantastic. Joe's jacket gets increasingly manky as things progress, and then he goes and buys the clothing in Florida to show the transition both characters are making.
Yeah, we literally throws in the bin as old past.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and the new clothes suit him.
They do.
Yeah. And without the hat as well. The hat's on.
And the hat. You got the hat, And you imagine if he got off the bus and he took care of the business with Joe, and he'll go and get a job. He'll get a job in 5 seconds. Employees will look at him and say, I'll hire this guy, I love to have him working here. And his future is all mapped out.
Yeah.
It's all set for him. And it's all because of how John Voight looks in the movie. He looks so great.
Yeah.
And there's a great character arc. He doesn't become smarter, but he becomes wiser. Because he's not a bright man. But he becomes wiser, and he becomes less self-involved.
Self-absorbed, yeah.
Yeah, and Ratso showed him, definitely a thing or two that he's going to take that knowledge to Miami, wherever he goes next. So
the next bit of casting even though the role only lasted 6 minutes and garnered her an Oscar nomination, Sylvia Miles as Cass. Good God. 6 minutes, but memorable 6 minutes, I'll tell you that.
That chick was a fun time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she's a Hellcat. Man, she blows me away every time I watch her in a movie. That energy
Sophie
she
Miles
brings
is
to a
great.
role.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I love the fact it's implied she's a sex worker as well.
Yeah, that's the way she played him as well, and she did it so well. But every film I watched her in, I just marveled. Oh my God! Sorry,
I was saying, well, he ends up paying. Like I said earlier, he ends up paying her. It was just it's such a good.
It was manipulative.
He offers 10 and she pulls the 20. He's like, oh,
Yeah, pulls
20?
the
Like, he goes along with it. Like,
He's
That's
already
social
off to a bad
engineering,
start.
yeah.
Real. Yeah, she's it obviously takes advantage of the situation herself. So yeah, she knows that he's maybe a bit simple in her mind. But yeah, she's an incredible role, very feisty.
Oh,
Indeed.
God, use the word, you know. she just goes from one tangent to another so effortlessly.
Yeah.
And that's the mark of great acting.
Absolutely.
They can do that in one scene. That's is what we call the range, but her range is actually quite extraordinary. In such short time, she makes a big impression. And there was another actor we were talking about last night, Tony. The guy did the small apartment.
I was just about to get to the great performance of John MacGyver, who played who played that preacher that Rizzo introduced Joe to, and
so I was talking about there was a Twilight Zone episode where he had a model toy company, and he acted like the sailor of the ship, and he was running around barking orders to everyone. He was acting like Captain Bligh.
He also played a casino boss in Johnny Cool.
Really?
Which is a really dark role. I mean, John MacGyver's got that persona, but he had incredible range as a character actor, which only occasionally popped up in the things he did.
Just the barking in the apartment. Come and join me.
I'm gonna run you ragged, and
I'll run you ragged.
It's such a well-structured scene too, because you really think he's going there. You know, Razzo's got him this agent, and he's going to be this great, and goes to a sort of seedy place. But then, this guy looks okay, and it just descends. Like,
and I think it's a turning point for the Joe Buck character too. Like, he's definitely out of place. He doesn't know where he is. He's almost like in hell. It's a very like scary scene for him. It's kind of very.
It got scary the moment when John MacGyver's character opens the bathroom door.
Yes.
You see a crucifix with red lights flashing. I thought, oh no, what he's got himself into?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And I love when Joe then sees Razzo in the diner after that has happened, and he says, "Oh, I recognize this guy. Oh, you're the guy who sent me to that freak," and like is really angry at him. And Razzo's trying to sort of get out of it, like, "I'll give you everything I have. It's fine. But like, it was almost like, oh, I wish he hadn't found me again. I wanted to sort of hand this guy off to
get away." And he has that sort of like the fantasies of like choking, sort of chasing him down and finding him.
But once again, poor Joe's fobbed off.
Yes.
And that hurts him. It deeply scars his psyche because it brings on that nightmare sequence. Which is editing's dazzling in that scene. It's absolutely extraordinary.
And the colours,
the black and white.
Black and whites. Yeah. And then he goes back into the apartment. He has a similar nightmare where he's woken up by the radio.
Yes.
You're the one, Joe. You're the only one.
Yeah.
I remember in the cinema when he woke up and he's trying to be defensive to Rizzo. He thinks something's wrong with the guy, and he's going, "Oh, I'm a killer. I could go mad." And he goes, "Oh, you're a killer. I'm impressed." And everyone in the audience cracked up laughing. It was the only big laugh.
Because real killers don't have to announce it. Yeah.
No.
And I'll never forget that scene. Madeleine Cinema was a perfect place to see it because it was a seedy, rundown cinema, just like in the makeout scene. The infamous implied blowjob scene. And it had the flashing light bulbs at the front of the theatre.
But what's interesting? That scene that was interesting was the scene that interested me was Bob Balaban, that was his very first role, and
Yeah. He was very
who would
young,
have
too.
thought that? Who would have thought they would play a teenage gay kid who gives a blowjob to Joe Buck? But what I found fascinating was when after you see Bob's head go down, you see the screen, a rocket exploding, and then you thought, "Oh Lord, here we go."
Perfect
And
imagery
then,
there of that film.
yes,
That was a real movie.
indeed.
It was called Moonstruck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that a 1959 television, sci-fi television?
Yeah, and it was actually it was on the audio commentary. They mentioned that it was owned. The footage was owned by United Artists, so they were able to use the footage. It was an easy way for them to get the footage without paying anything for it. And yeah, they obviously put those scenes in, which were representative of what was happening in the cinema, and they just retitled the film and the cinema outside to be, you know.
Right. Yeah, that's
quite an
right.
interesting one.
And he's
And the thing that scene shows too is how scary it was to be a gay man trying to make connection.
Yeah,
in the 1960s.
Yeah.
In New York, it showed the genuine peril there, as you see later on with County, the middle-aged guy, Barnard Hughes' character. It was fraught with danger and fraught with fear.
I feel bad for that guy.
And that's true. I was just saying the Balaban character. Yeah, he's got no money, and but Joe Buck kind of just says, "All right, fine," but he's going to steal his watch. But then he's realized that I think that's the moment where Joe's like, "What am I becoming? Like I'm becoming like a thug, like beating this college kid up to steal his. He's got nothing." And but I think you're right. And but yeah, it's a great performance by Balaban too, because he was very young. I think he was just very young himself in that role.
Yeah,
he would become a great good director and actor.
And
great film parents. But he did a lot of really good films and as well. But yeah, it was a very powerful scene that where he
it was
his space is exploration. He's gone where no man's gone before. Sexuality is a space exploration metaphor. These alien territory, outer space. And I like how they intercut with his longing for his old Annie.
Yes. Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah. That's very powerful. Just putting that into cutting how he's a long way from home. He's a long way from everything.
Yeah. Or is he trying to imagine that it's not a man he's with? And
that could too.
Instead, because of a deep denial, or because, like Terry said, it was a dangerous time to be in. So if he makes himself think it's happening with a woman, the police won't catch him, type situation. Because obviously, when he falls asleep in that theater, the police are monitoring it and they're tapping the stairs to make sure people don't fall asleep and use it as a place to live.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. And you get to see those sort of. That's why I like as well as sort of grindhouse cinemas from the time. See the 42nd Street. It's really great sort of time capsule, seeing how those cinemas operated, where people would just stay there overnight, like features and sleep there.
And it was in Sydney in the 70s. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, people do all-nighters and just stay.
Yeah.
Just live there.
I don't know if they did. I don't know if they did that in Valhalla in Sydney. Ron, would you know? Do you remember?
They didn't do it in Sydney, but they did do it in Melbourne. They had
the Melbourne one did 24-hour science fiction ones.
Yes, that's right.
10% of the audience hadn't bathed in days.
I've heard stories about what happened.
It got chronic.
It got crazy. Those things. I think the closest we had to was probably in the 90s, where they did the overnighters. I went to one. It was every thug in town showed up, misbehaved. Or I did one at Mandolin, where they did an overnighter, and it's very hard to stay awake once you get to like 3 or 4 o'clock. Your body says, "I want to sleep." You're like Joe Buck. You do fall off.
Yeah,
I did go to a midnight session at the Valhalla in Glebe when I was living in Glebe, and they had Robot Monster and Plan 9 from Outer Space. 10 minutes before the movie starts, the guy front row center pukes comprehensively, and they had to clean it all up and delayed the movies. And then there was a big semicircle of empty seats around where this guy had puked. And that had ambient to the movies. It was chronically bad.
Oh my Lord!
Man. I went to a midnight screening like Liquid Sky, but it was hardly anyone in the theater. It was the night at Reservoir Dogs opened. So, but it was a great experience seeing midnight movies and watching it. We did a lot at the Mandolin. I did heaps of midnight screenings there. That was so much fun.
The other one was Mandolin, where they showed giant spider invasion at Mandolin. And the people running it had this idea of getting a guy in a spider suit to crawl down from alongside the screen halfway through the movie. And somebody in the audience freaked out and beat the shit out of the guy in the spider suit. And they had 3 ushers pull him off.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And, we're going interactive cinema.
He's stealing all the Krusty Burgers.
Oh, man. Honestly. We need to bring those grindhouse cinemas back. I miss midnight screenings. I loved them. Like the very first midnight screening I went to was actually in Village in George Street in Sydney for A Clockwork Orange. That was the very first time I ever saw it, and that's when I fell in love with the movie. And it was a packed session at midnight for a 2-hour and 15-minute film. It was packed, and I loved every moment of that midnight screening. I just wish there were more. I wish the only time that there are marathons now is all-night Twilight marathons, the Twilight Saga, and that really annoys me.
That's a health and safety issue, that one.
Yeah.
It's a mental health issue, I think.
In 1998, I did go to 5 cinemas in Times Square in a day.
Wow.
Didn't see one good movie. But they were still there at that stage.
They're still there. I thought they were long gone by then.
They'd renovated a few of them and they were still there, though.
Right, yeah. But my Mando ones I remember doing Rats Are Coming, the Werewolves Are Here, late night screening, and everybody ended up mocking the movie because it was so dreadful. I was just pointing at the screen, streaking from an empty cup. They were stoned or tripping out their heads. It turned into one of the funniest screenings I ever went to.
I did see Basket Case at the Valhalla in Melbourne when it was in Richmond.
Oh, yeah.
And I looked down halfway through the movie and there was a cockroach crawling across my shoe.
Oh.
It was a flea pit.
There was a flea. I had a rat at that one cinema. I'm not going to name it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Clearly could see the rat. And I go, oh, dear. But I heard the most notoriously grimy cinema was Australia Cinema in Goulburn Street, George. And they said that the carpet was sticky. And it would get residue on your
and in the
soles of
basement,
your feet. The basement, they said it was the most putrid place ever.
It was.
And you've been there. Oh, God. Yes.
Yeah, I frequented there occasionally.
Oh, wow. They got to come back. They've got to come back for midnight retrospectives. I miss those times, definitely. And speaking of, we were speaking earlier, Bernard Hughes's character. It was, I know you, Terry, and Ron, you both felt sorry for the character, but from what I remember reading in the book, that the character of Townie was self-masochistic, and he absolutely loved being beaten. It's fascinating to me what kind of psychological torment he had as a child, so in order for him to be gratified by violence against himself, I just thought that was insane. I know it's crazy, but there are a lot of people like that who love to be beaten up, and it's really horrendous. And that sequence,
it doesn't quite play like that in the movie though, because he kills his mother.
Not at all.
No,
he's a bit ambivalent. He's very ambivalent.
Yeah.
And then Joe starts going to town on him.
Yeah, he does go to town on him.
There's only just a few lines which hint towards it, like, "Oh, have I brought this upon myself?" And kind of asking for it, and then saying there's no money when there's money. Joe's going to find it. There could be punishment, so it is, more ambivalent, like you say. And I love the way towards the end of that, they changed the frame rate of the film playing back itself. Like there's an actual changing the actual, instead of 24 FPS, it changes. So that's all an interesting technique to use as the essentially murder kind of cuts away before, but he's essentially trying to murder him at that point.
And that's why Joe Buck's such an ambivalent character.
Yeah, because
for me, that scene, had it been played differently, would have led better into the bus scene with Ratso and Joe at the end. It would have landed that, I think, a little bit better if Joe hadn't been such a total prick.
Yeah.
To Townie.
And in that sequence, when Dustin Hoff, when Ratso asks Joe, what happened, and then Joe refuses to answer what he did to Townie or whatever. He just doesn't say anything.
Well, he knows. Poor
Yeah.
Townie. I mean, I think he was just a nice, gentle soul. He was,
Yeah.
but he obviously was physically attracted to the guy. But he didn't realize he was just so dangerous. So he was so violent. It brought it out. I mean, he could have went to a gay bar and met a nice guy.
Yeah.
A nicer, gentle soul would have been more suitable for him.
And there's a sophistication as well.
Too, yeah. But he's just like in the whole scene. They took their chances. If you pick the wrong guy, it's even in the hetero scene. You could still pick the wrong partner, and it's not crazy, or unpredictable. It's a horrible game, the dating game, or the pickup.
It is. It is.
It's quite nasty across the board. Doesn't matter what your preferences are.
True. And also, there was a sequence in the film which I have to say is my favorite scene in the whole movie. Is the Hansel and Gretel McAlbertson party sequence, that's probably my favorite scene in the whole film because it changes direction, because you're seeing another side of New York that you're going upstairs to an apartment full of dope fiends, psychedelic music, and hippies, and all kind of counterculture people in the art world. And the sequence that had Viva, who's of course was one of the factory girls.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
And in the movie there were other factory regulars as well. Ultraviolet, Joe D'Alessandro. Who else was it? Paul Morrissey was in it. Yes.
Yeah. Michael Childs, the assistant, was told to, I'll go to Andy Warhol and I'll get some of the regulars, so we can sort of fill this scene out in a very authentic way. And I think, like John said earlier, really, if there was any doubt it was New Hollywood before, this is really leaning into that.
Yes.
New Hollywood.
Yeah.
And who doesn't like a party with good music, unlimited drugs, and free salami?
And free salami.
True.
It's a good time free salami, I think.
But I love the music in the background.
Oh, it's so
Excuse
good.
me. The music was that sequence that did it, that synthesizer keyboard psychedelic music. The song was called Old Man Willow by Elephant's Memory. That song stayed with me when I first saw the film. I loved it. I was just happy it was included into the Midnight Cowboy soundtrack because it's like a long 7-minute psychedelic track, and it was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
But then in the sequence where you see but I love the camera shots, how where you see this woman, this theater actress goes, I love everything about the theater. I just want to die on the stage. But you see how the frame works. It looks like 16mm film, and it was
within a bigger frame.
Yeah, it looks great.
The handheld.
That was one of the interesting things too. You start with the drive-in and the cinema that are closed. You see the mainstream cinemas in Times Square. Then you see new media in the party scene.
Yeah.
And people using cinema and using film for their own purposes. That's a really interesting progression through the movie.
Yeah, the handheld camera, especially the interviews going around the party.
Yeah, you get people looking at the camera, whereas usually, you look away from the camera. You're acting you're being more a participant within the film.
Yeah, it sort of blends almost documentary. That whole scene's like a documentary. It almost feels like
so much of it's documentary. The street scenes in New York City are documentary style.
Yeah, because it's
all
shot
that
really.
Stuff is just fantastic.
It's shot on the street itself, and like I said earlier, like we were used to these sort of glamorous Hollywood sets, and now this is showing the real side of New York, which hadn't been a film quite like it doing that before. Which is
and the guy who's collapsed outside Tiffany's.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the street,
such a
which is like, screw you, Audrey Hepburn.
Everyone's just walking by.
Walks on by.
Cares.
Yeah.
Shows that.
That's an Easter egg, if anything is.
That party scene in 35mm is beautiful. I'm afraid 4K didn't quite capture it. But in 35, it's extraordinary.
I can imagine.
It was so good. I remember reading a Warhol biography when they talked about Midnight Cowboy, because he just got shot by Valerie Solanas when they were shooting
Yes.
that, when he was recovering in
Yeah.
hospital.
Yeah.
And he loved the idea that a major Hollywood film, because it was United Artists funding it, were going to acknowledge his work in the factory scene in it. But little did he know that scene in the cinema with the young pickup guy, all-nighter place, that was influenced by Blowjob, the
Yeah.
Warhol film. It only used the top of his
Yeah.
head, and that's how they framed it, without it being too obvious. So Warhol did play a big part in the making of the film, the culture of the film.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
In a way, and he was quite proud of it. He was quite ecstatic that he was finally getting recognition for his work, because it was underground. Everything was underground
Yeah.
back at that time, and he finally made the leap forward. And that's how, probably because of Midnight Cowboy, he could go and do major films like Flesh for Frankenstein and Blood for Dracula on
Yeah,
the strength of his
absolutely.
success.
Mhm.
Which
And that's why
catapulted
there
forward.
were two versions in Australia. There was the cut version we had for 5 years, because the Australian census at the time were delicate little flowers and
Oh,
didn't want
yes.
anybody seeing anything transgressive. And so they would have cut the shit out of all the interesting stuff. And then
Yeah.
5 years later, in 1974, after the Whitlam government got in,
That's right.
they
yeah.
allowed them to show the uncensored version of the the Academy twin in Paddington.
That's right. Yeah.
That shows a cultural change in Australia just from having the two versions of Midnight Cowboy.
It did, amazing. And it had the R rating right up until the 90s.
Wow.
And then
Yeah.
Tony said
Yeah.
it jumped to an M. And I said, how do you go
Yeah.
from an R to an M?
It's crazy because the imprint release is M rated, as
M.
you can see right here.
Yeah,
It's,
that's right.
Yeah, it's not an R-rated film at all. I mean, it's not. I mean,
No,
it's
not by
standard.
today's
not now,
standards.
definitely
No,
not.
not now.
Not
but-
today's standards, no.
But back then it would have been shocking for the time. But yeah, and obviously like we should have obviously mentioned it got an X in the US, which was essentially pornographic. It was the only Academy Award winning film to get an X. Which was
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it would have hit hard here in Australia too in '69, because people were watching shit like Skippy and the Intruders and a whole bunch of. They were still doing tons and tons of money with Elvis movies in
Yeah.
'69,
Yeah.
and then suddenly Midnight Cowboy is a rock in the pond of that kind of shit.
Yeah. I want to read you guys something here, which is regarding the censorship issues from the original 1969 release of Midnight Cowboy. Now, this is from a website called Refused Classification, and this is by Shane Harrison. The sequences that were censored in the original release, or the original Australian release, I should say, of Midnight Cowboy, numerous scenes where bare breasts wobbled in a collection of subliminal clips from the Warhol Party scene and flashbacks of the rape. They were censored in the original version. There was a sequence here that says, the vocal "you long-horned bull" that follows the sex scene with Cass, who played by Sylvia Miles, that line was cut. I don't understand. You long-horned bull. What would that be? Well, who knows back then.
As a dick thing.
Yes. And then there was a scene, then the sex scene with Shirley, played by Brenda Vaccaro, that was cut out. And then there was the flashback of Joe Buck having sex with his girlfriend Annie. That was cut out. And then the sequence that we talked about with Towney, shoving a telephone receiver down a client's mouth, that was cut out. And then as he is being sodomized, Joe Buck has a flashback to his mother, Sally, giving him an enema. That was cut out too. And he said here, the enema flashbacks take place when Joe Buck and Annie are being raped. Quite a few edits were taken out from this sequence and played in Chip's reel and as quick cuts. The scene was very difficult to follow at the cinema, and its edits were quick cuts but laundered throughout the scene. And then once again, the post-1971, the film was resubmitted by United Artists and was passed with an R rating in September 1973. The print ran 3,095 meters, which is equivalent to 112 minutes and 49 seconds. And the tagline of the poster was, for the first time, the complete uncut R-rated version of of Midnight Cowboy.
Yeah, because it would have made no sense. It would have just taken out key scenes. It would have just been so
It changed the character in many ways.
Yeah.
If you're not seeing things that are pertinent.
Yeah, and in November 1984, Warner Home Video received an M rating for Midnight Cowboy for a 113-minute tape. So it was changed to an M in November 1984. This was followed in April 2004 by an M, which has the classification of medium-level sex scenes and adult themes for MGM Home Entertainment Group. And in May 2007, it was rated M again for moderate sex scenes and moderate themes. Both submissions were for the DVD releases. So yeah, it was changed to an M rating in November 1984 in Australia, and it was passed uncut in 1973. So that was it. But the stuff that was cut out, I get it, but it wasn't as I get back the sensitivities back in the 1969, I believe. I get it, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on those?
Well, I know Shane Harrison. He used to do a little Facebook page, so he knew all about.
Yeah.
He told me about The Devils, which is they said it was uncut. They reckon Australia had the closest to the uncut print initially for the first 3 months, and then they cut it back subsequently after 6 months because all the print damaged and ran out. So when they reissued them again, the censors jumped in. So we're going to cut all this out. So probably in March 1973, we'll the closest seen uncut, even in Britain. But now we're going to see in October completely uncut.
Cannot wait for that.
An odd way, yeah.
For me, censorship never makes sense in that sense that grown-ups can choose what they need to see. Australia's got such a weird history of censorship. Things like Frankenstein were banned for 25 years.
Yep.
In 1931. Yeah. All horror movies were banned in 1948. It's just gatekeeping morality. Never works with that stuff, particularly now, where censorship's seen as a local speed bump on a side street. Like Salo was banned here in Australia, and Polyester Books in Melbourne got raided for bootleg prints of Salo. Yeah, and then 10 years later, it turns up in JB Hi-Fi.
Yeah. With an R rating. Yeah.
Funny thing, Australia's like we had Clockwork Orange in 72, and the way they introduced it was there was two ways. They had one of Warner's executives came and had talks with the censors, and they persuaded him to release it because it would have been just banned outright if it wasn't any talks from the Warner's executives. And they also did a trial run where they had secret private screenings with celebrities, and they put a newspaper ad where they add a dozen names of local celebrities. They could be like sportscasters, TV chefs, Bernard King, Rex Mossop, all these, Ginny Little. It was all these figures, TV media figures, Australian media figures. And you could ask them, should we be able to see Clockwork Orange? And people would say, oh, should we be able to see it? Yes. Of course they say yes, they want to look good. But then it finally gets its release in one cinema for 1 year. And they had reviews saying, oh, you're going to feel left out of dinner party conversations if you haven't seen Clockwork Orange. So they made it a sophisticated social event to see a film like that, controversial film like that.
Movies that stay in cinemas for a year.
It's very unusual, yeah. To stay a year, yeah.
Oh, and the other thing about Midnight Cowboy, because I was saying earlier, like it got an X in the US, and you have to understand that the reason for it, apparently, was because of the gay sex work. It was it couldn't get an R, so they had to give an X. And at the time, homosexuality was illegal still in parts of the US, so it was a groundbreaking film for that as well. To get and then obviously they after it won the Academy award, they sort of came back to him and they wanted him to cut just a few frames just to they could reclassify it for an R, but he refused, and so they eventually gave it an R. But yeah, that was groundbreaking at the time, and just showed that the censorship doesn't make sense because that was just pure bias, just against the themes of the film. They just didn't like it, and they didn't want it to be seen, which is quite.
That was the weird thing in America, that 35-year infantilization of American cinema from 34 till about 72. And then meanwhile, France is doing some of the best cinema the world has ever seen because they didn't have that.
Yeah, and the Hays Code, which was this was kind of the death of that. Midnight Cowboy was kind of the Hays Code, where it was everything was had to, and that's why people say it was the most boring era, films in the 50s and whatnot. But yeah, it's still great cinema. But people say that obviously the turning point was here, which was definitely was.
And also, you got to thank your exploitation movie makers pushing boundaries as well.
Yes.
Directors like John Slattery had the courage to make Midnight Cowboy to be as open as possible within the framework. Because you got to think about the David Friedmans and Russ Myers, who were out there. They were forging ahead, breaking and they were making a fortune. They knew that artists weren't fools. They knew that it's big money to break ground or break taboos, so to speak.
Yeah. You see a parallel with that now in A24 releasing a whole bunch of low-budget horror movies by new people that are making all the money, and then the big studios suddenly shit themselves. And try to catch up. Innovation always comes from the edges of things. It comes from weird gay English directors coming to America and making an American story. And it comes from, the Dave Friedmans and the Dan Sonnys and all those guys as well. It always comes from the edges. It comes from YouTubers who suddenly make a feature film now. It's never from the middle. It's always from the edge.
It has to be, because they're the ones that got the guts. They also got nothing to lose. You can't just follow the rules. You're not going to get anywhere if you follow the rules, or if you do what everybody else does. You're wasting everybody's time. So that they knew even back in the late 50s and early 60s to say, we got to show nudity. We got to show blood and gore. Otherwise, people are not going to go see our movie.
I'm in favour of both of those things.
And had both, and you got more, and you got bigger audience share. And it works.
Like example for censorship once again, director John Waters. Technically speaking, Pink Flamingos is still banned in Australia, but it's so accessible now. It's just it's released on Criterion. Ron and John, and I don't know if John, you were with us. We saw it at the John Waters retrospective at the Ritz.
The X-rated version,
the full uncut, the full NC-17 version.
Sorry, cut out there. What film?
Pink Flamingos. Were you there?
Oh yeah. No, I didn't go to the screen. Because technically that version still shouldn't be shown, which is ridiculous. I mean,
that movie leaves a bad taste in my mouth, like Human Centipede.
I get it.
Pink Flamingos was a mystery for me for years because I heard about the infamous dog excreting scene and all that. And I had to go to the Encore and watch a grainy 16mm print on Boxing Day, and it was uncut. And everyone's roaring with laughter. That's the anus scene, still the surfing break. And I'm thinking, what have I got myself into? This is
you wouldn't want to bite into your chalk top at that moment.
Hell no. I don't want to eat anything. And I came out nauseous at the end. I go, oh my God, what was that? I was like, see, motion sickness, And then I go to the Ritz 30 years later with Tony and Nat, and it's a full house and a drag show, and we're watching this old Art Deco theatre, glorious 1930s theatre, watching this smutty 70s underground movie. I think, what does the world come to?
Couldn't ask for anything more perfect than that. Definitely.
It was, it was quite extraordinary. We came a long way, and I had to get that Palace X tape from Andrew Leavold. He had a cellar in Brisbane. And it was initially released as an under-the-counter film.
Yeah.
You had to ask for it because there was two other Divine video movies, Desperate Living, which he wasn't in, but John Waters, and Female Trouble. And I got my hands on Pink Flamingos, and I was like, I got the Holy Grail, Australian VHS releases. Wow, what a trip. Sorry.
I mean, that was always a badge of honour, banned in Queensland.
Oh, yes.
Those were the movies you went to for the weekly rentals,
Reanimator, Near Dark. There was so many movies banned in Queensland. I used to love it. I was saying to my friends at high school, it's banned in Queensland. It's banned in Queensland. What difference does it make?
And believe it or not, Martin Scorsese's The Last Temptation of Christ was banned in Queensland.
Don't give me any spoilers for that movie,
Oh, no spoilers at all. But that's just ridiculous. Who would have thought that a religious film would be banned in Queensland? But mind you, there was some quite outrageous sequences in that film. So
My mother went for the roof watching that one.
I remember when Life of Brian was showing in George Street in Sydney,
Oh, yeah.
and they had big hordes of nuns protesting out the front of
oh,
like these very nice nuns just protesting this movie that they had never seen.
That's
Oh.
insane.
Yeah, that's the problem with the censorship and stuff. A lot of the people who end up, protesting the films and stuff, they're the ones who haven't even seen it
seen the
at
movie.
all.
Yeah.
Like the
No.
infamous, talk about Life of Brian. You have that television interview between two of the Python members and two priests, and one of them admit that they hadn't even seen the film. I don't want to see it because it's blasphemous. Well, how about you see it and you make up your own mind,
Yeah,
which
you
is the
make-
message of the film as well.
Yes.
So it's like, censorship and
exactly.
classification is like the enemy of the arts because it
Yeah.
just tries to squash it down, that cut things, and gets to the point where today in various territories filmmakers and studios of the bigger budget stuff will pre-cut their own films in order to get lower ratings, which I think just goes against the whole thing. If you're making a film, why censor yourself? You've got a point to make. It's the younger
thing is
filmmakers who don't.
They're starting to censor physical media too. Pleasantville on 4K is censored. They cut a line of dialogue from
That's nuts.
Witherspoon out of it. It is, and that's why I went to eBay and bought the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Not because I particularly want to see the movie, but I want to buy an uncut version of it just to own it.
Yeah.
It's like Guillermo del Toro says: once you have a copy of a movie, you're the custodian of that film.
That's right.
And that
so
version.
I
of
went
that film.
there and I've got the uncut version of Pleasantville, and fuck the studio.
Oh yeah.
Fuck the studio.
But you know what really killed me when I heard that the new 40th anniversary 4K re-release of Manhunter is coming out. That's censored too.
Yeah, I've got the old Blu-ray, thankfully.
I got the old Blu-ray too.
And they did the same thing with French Connection, where they cut out some slurs.
Yeah, racial
which
slurs.
they don't need to cut out because it's 1970. It's a cop talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the part of the character. I mean, he's not a nice guy.
No, it's
interesting. You've got the example of Midnight Cowboy that we're talking about, how the classification simply changed with the times, and we're able to include the scenes. So that's an interesting thing. As we've come full circle, we're back to taking things out again.
But I'm really glad we got the 4K of Midnight Cowboy, because I had a DVD. I passed it on to somebody else now, but I'm glad it's got the respect it deserves.
Yes.
Yeah, the reason it's the only 4K is because Criterion are sitting on it in the US and the UK, and they're doing nothing with it. So thank you, Imprint, for coming to
Yes,
the
Imprint. The Imprint release is the only 4K release in the world of Midnight Cowboy. So worldwide, definitely. So that is a special release indeed.
It's huge. Yeah, it's a big game changer. But once again, not to ramble about Criterion, but they just sit on movies and they don't do anything.
They do.
I've got a boast with Criterion. I watched in the Criterion closet, and I love maybe 70% of it. And then you get some actors and actresses who are well regarded, who pick the most fucking ordinary movies in the Criterion closet.
I know.
Yeah.
And it annoys the shit out of me. I love it though when you particularly get young actresses who you think don't have much depth, and they pick out the most wonderful movies from the Criterion closet.
Yeah.
And you fall in love with them just that little bit when they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's those boring ones who they have the film sitting out like that. So you can tell they can go in, they can just pick the ones which are out. They're not actually looking at what's in the collection and finding the oddities the others do. Yeah.
Yeah. Like one of my favorites is the one with John Waters. He chose 8.5. He chose The Blob. He chose the Honeymoon Killers. He chose Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, which I absolutely adore. And of course, one of my all-time favorite cult films is Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, and he chose that as well. So they're great films.
I love the fact that when people pick out two particular things, I like it. Cassavetes and Agnes Varda.
Yes.
If they pick out those two, you know that you're onto a winner.
Yeah.
And also, I kind of liked it when I did see Pamela Anderson pick up Blue Velvet. And I'm just going, I love you. I'll watch Blue Velvet with you. That'd be great. Discuss the movie. That would be awesome. That won me over. You just hold up Blue Velvet and you go, oh, I adore that movie. And I have seen it, like you guys said, pick very ordinary movies. You go, come on, you're in one of the most amazing closets.
Yeah,
You go, I'll be searching everything. And go, that's right.
all these people that pick 1980s American movies only.
Yeah, no foreign or
There's such
I'll tell you what to do.
range.
You guys can try this too when you're on social media, and you get those things that say, "What's your favorite foreign film?" And I usually do something like "Born on the 4th of July."
That's true.
That's a good one. I like that.
It technically is
North
foreign
Americans
because
enormously.
Yes. I like that.
Yeah, that was a good one, Terry. Sorry. Yeah, when the movie was when Midnight Cowboy was released, it caused controversy as expected. But the thing was, it was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. But yeah, Dustin Hoffman, John Voight, and Sylvia Miles, they were all nominated for their roles in the acting, and they deserved it, absolutely. I believe the editing also was nominated, which that
One, too.
Such good editing, yeah.
It's extraordinary.
The one thing that we talked about, Ron, last night when we caught up, we were talking about Adam Hollander's cinematography. That was fantastic.
I get nominated too.
It was his first DP, wasn't it?
Yes, yes, and he was from what I read in the book that Ron loaned me. He was an assistant on Roman Polanski's film Knife in the Water. So, and then it was Roman Polanski who suggested to use Adam Hollander as a cinematographer, and he did a great job. I think that was his first major film as a DP, and it was really good.
Polanski, whatever happened to that guy?
You had to talk about it.
We won't go there.
But also, they shot in the book we were talking about last night. They had lightweight equipment, so they were able to move around the streets easily. Where the previous Hollywood films were very heavy, clunky machines, as Fred Williamson once described as the sound of a washing machine. These big cameras, they used in Italy right up to the 80s. And they didn't have that. They had more smaller, lightweight, compact ones.
That's one thing that they talk about in the commentary. This predates the Steadicam, and yet some of the shots almost like handheld Steadicam shots because of how steady they are. And so, I didn't know, Ron, like you said, if they started using the more lightweight equipment, that lends to that feel, which is especially good for like a road movie and following characters, which this movie is about the characters.
And now they've gone the other way, and they're using enormous IMAX cameras for the Odyssey, and they have to put the blimps over them. Yeah,
that's right. And they still go on location, but that's kind of like like David Lean territory, It's got Lawrence of Arabia.
You got to lift a 300-kilo camera up a mountain. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's what I felt like it was. It's going back to David Lean, where Midnight Cowboy was street documentary. Even Kubrick shot Clockwork Orange like street documentary.
All you need is this.
That's true. But then also, Paul Thomas Anderson's film One Battle After Another, that was actually shot on VistaVision. That hasn't been used since the late 50s.
Yeah,
and that looked great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Great too.
Big money at the Astor here in Melbourne. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then of course the movie won Best Adapted Screenplay for Waldo's Salt, which was richly deserved.
Yeah.
Best Director for John Schlesinger. Fantastic. And of course it won the big one, Best Picture. And that was, of course, it was the best film of the year that year, I gotta say.
I agree, but no nominations for Wild Bunch.
I agree. That was sad.
That's crazy.
Wasn't acknowledged at all.
Well, not at all.
It was nominated for a screenplay for The Wild Bunch, so that was something,
right. Yeah.
But still,
not enough.
But Peckinpah pissed off the studios, so
yeah.
Oh, he did, in a major way, and he kept doing it too. His career, that infamous urination on the screen scene. Which,
yes,
Bob Dylan was a witness to it.
That's a commentary about Hollywood, right there.
Exactly, it's crazy, but it's stuff of legends anyway.
But yeah, it did launch the careers of everybody involved in the film. You know,
Yeah.
Dustin Hoffman. Well, he was already a star in The Graduate, but this one catapulted him to superstardom. And John Voight started getting great roles, especially Deliverance from 1972. That was that was a great film. That desperately needs a 4K upgrade for sure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
and
But none of them are as good as the Blink in Anaconda, the Wink.
yes, the
Joe Waters loves Anaconda because the snake eats John Voight.
Yeah.
I always wanted to eat John Voight.
Well, he's a Trump follower now, so yeah. I mean, you can
it is a shame how
Jane
he
Fonda's,
is.
to Jane Fonda's dismay, you know, they both did a great movie together, Coming Home, and he won the Oscar for it.
Yeah.
And he played the Ron Kovic kind of figure, the disabled Vietnam vet figure, and it was a great performance, a really touching film. But
I mean,
and then
he could do Vulnerable really well, but
yeah, he could.
Then he turned, yeah.
Oh, he turned all right, yeah. It's a shame because when did he turn? Was it like recently or just?
We don't know when he turned. When he demonstrated turning was around middle of the 2010s.
Oh, right, yeah. So I still remember his cameo in U-Turn. He played an Indian.
Yes.
Side of the road. That was hilarious. I know these days it'd be considered racist. It's kind of like tantamount to blackface. But it was a freaking hilarious scene.
That's the other thing to do on movie Facebook pages. Ask people why they never remade the Jolson story.
Well, Spike Lee tried to, in a sense.
With Bamboozled,
Bamboozled. But I love the film. I did say in my Visitor Q talk that the cinematography, the videography of it's kind of clunky, and I don't know if it did the movie justice, but when I was thinking about it afterwards, I was thinking it's way ahead of the curve in terms of how something so outrageous and offensive becomes popular.
Yeah.
And it's happened now. You know, they got a president who's so popular with a certain group of American society, even though he's so offensive and so awful. And they've mainstreamed it in a way.
I did watch Hollywood Hustle last month, and it was fantastic to watch that.
Oh,
the Robert Townsend movie. Yeah.
Robert Townsend, yeah. I love the two movie critics who sneak into the theaters. They were kind of predicting, you know, the outrageous would and offensive would be the norm as well back then, and it did in its own prophetic way. And who would have saw it? But they did. These filmmakers.
Yeah. And then, of course, with John Schlesinger, his career took off in the 70s. Like, he made this movie, Sunday Bloody Sunday, afterwards, which is basically semi-autobiographical, you know. Great film, great performances with Murray Head, Peter Finch, and Glenda Jackson. You can't go wrong with Glenda Jackson. Definitely not.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, she's a great actress.
But I got to tell you, my personal favorite of John Schlesinger's is not even Midnight Cowboy. It's the film that the team that did Midnight Cowboy again, producer Jerome Hellman and writer Waldo Salt, that they did an Imprint release this one in the early years called The Day of the Locust.
Yeah.
This is my favorite film of John Schlesinger's, and this is probably one of my top 3 films of 1975, and this film is just phenomenal.
I think it's my favorite Donald Sutherland role as well.
Yeah, as Homer Simpson.
Yeah.
I read it, but I have, because the first line is Homer Simpson, and I laughed out loud.
You gotta see this movie, Ron. I'm telling you.
But that character turns in a big way.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's that title, Day of the Locust, it's been described the Hollywood bottom fish types, the people who appeared in Wood movies. They're called Day of the Locust weirdos. You know, the Hollywood weirdos of you know, that of Nathaniel West, F. Scott Fitzgerald, Ed Wood, you know, the John Fante, the down and outs. You know,
that's got one of the 2 most shocking scenes that I remember from a 70s movie, which is the scene when Homer goes rogue at the end.
Yeah, that's the most.
That and Mark Rydell, who just died, in The Long Goodbye with the Coke bottle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Two most shocking scenes I've seen in the 70s movie.
To watch it now. I don't
Yeah,
think
but
that was in the book.
you got to watch Day of the Locust, Ron. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah.
But then after Day of the Locust, he reunited with Dustin Hoffman in probably one of the most. If you hate dentists, don't watch this film. I'm telling you right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Marathon.
It is the classic Marathon Man. This was fantastic.
Is it safe?
Is it safe? Yes. It is such a disturbing film, but if you have a fear of dentists, don't watch this film. I'm telling you now, but it is worth it.
I love Roy Scheider in Marathon Man. I think I like him more than I like the other two, Dustin Hoffman and Laurence Olivier. I love Roy Scheider in this movie.
Yeah, he was good in that one. Paul, have you seen any of those other John Schlesinger films?
Yes, I've seen Day of the Locust, obviously when Imprint released that one. Sunday, Bloody Sunday, I watched in preparation for this, just to sort of get another gay themed story in. I've seen Darling as well, which was
I love it.
beautiful film. That was really, really good.
Darling was great.
But yeah, the performances and characters in Sunday, Bloody Sunday, really, really good. Peter Finch obviously playing the gay doctor, and then you have the Murray Head character who, sort of, is he bisexual? Is he still freaking himself out? It's going between his characters, and should he be beholden to these older characters, or should he live his young life? Some parallels with the John Voight character in Cowboy there. I think Sunday, Bloody Sunday was one which really resonated with me. And then a later one in his career, which I'd watched earlier, Pacific Heights, which is like a weird thriller, probably not among his best films, but it's one like, oh, that was him directing that. So yeah, I haven't seen Marathon Man yet, or Eye for an Eye, the one we mentioned earlier.
There's one no one mentions, Falcon and the Snowman.
That's a good one.
Sean Penn and Timothy Hutton.
Yeah.
I loved that film when it came out. It was kind of a quite hit. But the one I really love next to Midnight Cowboy, I think, is a companion piece, is Billy Liar, which is Julie Christie, because it's so frustrating, the ending. It's a very dynamic film. It's well edited, well acted, it's hilarious, but he doesn't go off the end with Julie Christie. I thought, you nuts, but he's too much of a boy. He just wants to stay in his little comfortable middle class surroundings. He doesn't want to take the risk and run off with the gorgeous beatnik girl, the London's sophisticated girl. And if you, God, I would have ran off Julie Christie in 5 seconds.
Oh, of course.
What are you doing?
There's another one that he did. There's a comedy he did called Honky Tonk Freeway, which has Beverly D'Angelo, William Devane, Hume Cronin and Jessica Tandy, Terry Garr. Fantastic cast. A small Florida tourist town goes mad, basically. It's just such fun. And again, it's an English director looking at America through a very distant lens. And it's very, very funny.
I remember, I haven't had a chance to see it. They made it sound like an Animals Gone Wild comedy with the ad. They had a rhino running about.
It's not the best movie in the
that's
world,
on the
but
poster.
it's entertaining.
Yeah, it's on the poster. Yeah, I
down
remember.
the street. That's why I thought I kind of avoided it for years.
So I kind of thought it was a Disney kind of comedy, like animal comedy.
No, it's not Disney.
I think the poster is very misleading in that way, in a sense. But I still remember Marathon Man, watching that on telly. I just had dental work. I was 14.
John, do you have a favorite? Do you have any other favorite John Schlesinger films?
Yeah, because I didn't realize he had done a number of diverse films as well, apart from that. But yeah, I think Marathon Man I saw when I was younger on TV, and it kind of stuck with me. And I was too young when I saw that movie, and the dentist scene just freaked me out. But it is one of my favorites of his. And Sunday, Bloody Sunday, I saw. It wasn't until maybe a couple of years ago when that Criterion, whenever that Blu-ray came out, maybe 10 years ago, it's when I finally saw that film, and I was blown away by it. Didn't even know about it. And but he's done a number of films, and one I like, I saw when I was a teenager as well, was he directed the horror film The Believers, which is an interesting which is quite a voodoo. It's quite a creepy little film, and I haven't seen in years, but I remember the imagery in that. And but yeah, it showed that he was doing all types of films. But yeah, The Believers is a very underrated little horror film that he directed in the late 80s. But like I said, it's hard to pick a favorite. But yeah, and I also really like Eye for an Eye, like you said, Tony. I saw that years ago as well. And one of his later films. But yeah, very interesting filmography. I would like to see some more of his earlier British stuff. I haven't seen some of that, but I'd be keen to go back and see some of his earlier works.
And then the poor bugger ended his career making a movie with Madonna.
Yeah, unfortunately. The next best thing.
Oh, okay.
That was not a great film, but it was a shame that that's John Schlesinger's final film. Apparently, the working conditions, the work, Madonna and John Schlesinger did not get along. They were, quite difficult shoot. And I believe, it was rumored to believe that movie caused John Schlesinger a stroke, and after it was rumored, but then afterwards, a couple of years later, he dies from a stroke. So, which is a real shame.
Yeah.
Well, he did have a quadruple bypass in the 90s. Yeah.
He did. Oh, okay. I know when Oliver Stone auditioned Madonna to do Evita. He just thought she was common as toilet paper. That was the way he described her singing and acting abilities. But he walked away and he just thought, no, I can't work with her. And he made the
one of the rules of Hollywood is never make an Andrew Lloyd Webber adaptation. Just leave that crap alone.
So it's not children and animals, huh?
Well,
children, animals, Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Well, Paul and I will disagree with you on that with Jesus Christ Superstar, because that's the 1970s version by Norman Jewison. I adored. Sorry, I love that one.
It's like Hollywood can't make a decent Sondheim adaptation of a Sondheim musical. Never have been able to.
Sweeney Todd, maybe, from Tim Burton. That could be one.
Sweeney Todd's not a friggin' light tenor, untrained drunkard voice. It's a baritone. And you don't get Johnny Depp because he's Johnny Depp.
They have to sell the movie, unfortunately.
True. Now, with this imprint release, there is a bonus disc in this set, which is a documentary that was released on Kino Lorber on DVD back in the States, but this is a worldwide debut on Blu-ray. Desperate Souls, Dark City, and The Legend of Midnight Cowboy, a film by Nancy Bursky. I saw this when it came out, when this release came out, and I think Paul did too. I quite enjoyed this documentary. Look,
I did too.
I know it's it is quite a fascinating documentary. Like, as Ron and I discussed last night, the book that we read, Shooting Midnight Cowboy by Glenn Frankel, it was basically based on this was based on the book, but the movie had nothing in comparison to the book. The book was something.
It's a companion piece, I call it, to it. It's not really trying to adapt the book into a documentary form. It's like the extras. But there are some good points. My favorite part of it was juxtaposition of Midnight Cowboy's 42nd Street exteriors with Taxi Drivers. That's 7 years. And how much it dramatically changed. And how uglier it got is probably a lighter way of saying it. And it really was hellish. Midnight Cowboy looked innocent in comparison. Very innocent. Yeah, it probably fought up. But it is quite fascinating.
70s where you see it too is Shaft. The establishing shots in Shaft.
That's right,
42nd Street, Times Square.
That was 1971, 1970, That was just not long after Midnight Cowboy.
No, true.
And then you go to Basket Case and you see how it's declining years of 42nd Street. And he made it just before 42nd Street was closing up, and he made it for 42nd Street. Oh, it was decaying by then.
Oh, yeah.
It was a very decayed state. So you do see the evolution of it, those three movies. You go Midnight Cowboy, even Shaft, Taxi Driver to Basket Case.
Yeah.
And now it's Disney stores and artisanal breweries.
I did see that doc on 42nd Street. Did anyone see that? It was an extra, and I forgot which.
It was one on a Blu-ray. I can't remember which one it was. It was an extra,
I think it was one of the Troma ones, I think.
Okay.
And it had some Troma starlets like Debbie Rochon did interviews, and Frank Hellenlotter was a regular there, talking about how gritty and ugly it was. And nowadays, it's, oh God, Disney-esque.
Indeed.
And they do have occasional Cannibal Holocaust screenings to get the younger generation coming and say, "Oh, this is what 42nd Street was like." I say, "Yeah, bring back the prostitutes and the pimps and the druggies, and that would be more closer to it."
And Lucio Fulci, yeah.
And
Yes.
Fulci, yeah.
Paul, what did you think of the documentary when you first saw it?
Yeah, I did really enjoy it. I thought it was great that, you know, they've got obviously the making of the film and then it also talking about the culture of the 60s. And so they really go into that from all different perspectives. You know, if there was, obviously I hadn't seen the film before, so it was great to not only get the film with this release, but then also have this companion documentary. So it was good for them, for Imprint to bundle them together. Yeah, I thought it was really, really good. So I'm very glad that it was there.
John, you seen the documentary or no?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, like I said, it goes more into the deeper side of it, political and I guess the climate at the time. The other documentary on the Blu-rays, the 35th anniversary, sort of probably they made in the early 2000s. That's more just the typical sort of. It's a great sort of reflection with all the cast and crew. But yeah, the other documentary, the standalone, is more of a deeper, almost philosophical look at the film and the themes of it. But it was good. It was really good as well, and I'm glad they included it.
Terry, you saw the documentary or?
No, I rewatched Midnight Cowboy yesterday. I want to sit with the movie for a little bit longer before I watch the documentary. I just want
let's settle.
That it's still percolating through my brain wonderfully, and I'm enjoying that process. But probably in a couple of weeks, I'll watch the documentary.
Okay.
Because I think separation between the ancillary material and the movie you're watching is sometimes really useful.
Ron, what about what are your thoughts on the documentary?
Like I said before, it's a good companion piece to the book it's based on. I think what I liked was Jennifer Salt speaking up about it.
Yeah.
She gave a lot of good insights into the making of the film, how she was involved in it, and it was a very big part of her life, even though she appears in flashes in it, but she does make a huge impression in her own way, and it is quite odd that she's the screenwriter's daughter. And people thinking, oh, what was Paul Waldo thinking? His daughter's appearing naked, you know, and thinking, oh my God, that's my daughter.
Oh,
you know? I think maybe that's why Paul Schrader got the idea for Hardcore. You know, he's thinking, oh my God, that's my daughter.
Maybe.
it'll in an odd way, thinking, oh, my daughter's doing nudity and all that. But
Yeah.
well, that's the conservative side of me thinking, oh yeah. But that's the 60s. You know, you gotta take risks. You got to be a part of it, and she's forever immortalized. You know, she's very gorgeous. She looks great in the film. You know, poor that crazy Annie they call her. You know,
Yeah.
and it's kind of I know it's become cliche with the small town girl is the town bike. You know, she's used by all the men, all the boys. There was a great movie about that kind of scenario called. Everyone see Buster and Billy with Jan Michael Vincent. I remember watching that on TV as a kid, and you know, it was all the guys used that poor girl. She was the town bike, but she fell in love, and that was the same dynamic as Joe and Crazy Annie. But they kill her in that one scene because she doesn't put out anymore, and he comes back with the pool hall and beats the crap out of him and practically murders two of them. You know, and they made a whole movie about that subplot, which is very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, nothing dates a movie more than slut shaming.
No.
Yeah, that's true. They wouldn't do it these days. Thank God. I think we don't need it anymore. But it's kind of crazy how that was the culture. You know, that's probably one thing about the movie that's kind of sad is she gets packed away. And she's forgotten.
Yeah.
Joe gets to move on with her life, but what about her life? She deserves a chance. She deserves another chance. But that's in the movies. Even like The Year My Voice Broke came from a storyline like that. She's the daughter of the town bike. She grows up to be wild, and she gets pregnant and has to run off, be a single mother. God knows that child will be given up anyway after she gives birth. You know, that would be the tragedy of a continuing life story. But the boy gets to have his life. Her life will turn out differently.
Yeah.
Well, it was directed by John Digan, who is a good director but a piece of shit.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything here. It's never been fair on women. Women get the bad deal. They get the shitty deal.
That's
and the guys
true.
they get the chance. The women
So there
never
is a
do.
flip side movie that takes that narrative and totally knocks it into a tin can. The Naked Kiss.
Ah, Sam Fuller, yes.
Yeah, that one takes a sex worker and shows that she's better than all of the big people in the town and a better human being. And I like that flipping of the narrative there. It's very forward looking, that movie.
She looks after disabled kids. She ends up working with them and she proves herself to be a better person. That opening scene is quite shocking. It's quite striking. I remember. Yeah. It is. Yeah, I wish I thought of that one. Yeah, Naked Kiss. It was quite a remarkable film. Sam Fuller, but he was a very progressive guy in his politics, in his films, and that's why he's still watched to this day. And
yeah, I've got a 2-disc version of that and Shock Corridor together. They make such a great double feature.
Oh, amazing. Shock Corridor. It's extraordinary.
Absolutely.
Film.
We can go on forever about this film, but I think we've discussed the most important thematic elements in this film. And Midnight Cowboy is a masterpiece, well-deserved Best Picture Oscar winner, and of course, I could not be happier having our guests here for Imprint Cast 100. It really means the world to have Ron, of course, recent family member, joining us.
Thank you.
And Paul, of course, as always.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
But Terry, thank you so much for being a part of this episode.
Really
it meant the
appreciate it.
world.
That was great.
Anytime.
You got to come back on more regularly.
We're definitely going to have Terry more regularly for sure.
Definitely, yeah.
And of course, John, thank you so much for great 100 episodes. I know you weren't a part of every single one of them, but it means the world that you're a part of this. Thank you.
And you, Tony.
Thank you.
Yeah, every single episode.
Yeah. Congratulations to the host.
You're the trooper.
Yeah. I tried, but I've only introduced one episode and let Paul and Jim Mulvihill host an entire episode dedicated to television. Yes. Oh my goodness! But I also got to thank Suzanne Boleyn and Jim Mulvihill for being family and having their insights in the show. But the biggest thanks I have to give is to Via Vision Entertainment and Imprint Films for believing in us, trusting us, and giving us their full support. It really does mean the world to John and myself, and to everybody else in the Imprint Cast family. Absolutely. Now, you can follow Terry on his YouTube channel, Terry Talks Movies, and he's also in our Imprint Films Blu-ray Collections fan group and Imprint Cast Facebook pages. He's always on there, so he always posts his Imprint Films reviews on the pages, which is fantastic. Thank you for that, Terry.
Yeah, got to record one this afternoon.
Oh, exciting.
John and I have to record a few. I'm telling you now.
Yeah, we need to catch up.
We need to catch up, absolutely. Now, once again, everybody, thank you so much for, but most of all, thank you to the audience who listen and who follow us and support us. You know, it's been a great 100 episodes, and who knows, another 100 to go. So it'll be great. Thank you so much, everybody. Hope you all have a good one, and thank you once again to my guests and John. Thank you. Hope you all have a good one.
Yeah,
see you soon. Thank you for listening and watching this latest episode of Imprint Cast. Imprint Cast is a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and hope you all have a great day.